It's MLS Week 31, and we have just 6 games on the schedule, all being played on Saturday, September 7th, as we're in the middle of the international break. So be sure to check the lineups for all the teams. And the MLS website has a great link that shows all of the different players that are being called up, but I'll certainly touch on all of the main ones as we go through these games as well. So let's dive into this small card. I'm going to cover every game, but since we only have a few and we have a ton of players missing from most teams, I'm just going to make one official bet here from these games, as there's just not that much to choose from here. And if you want more soccer picks as well as NFL picks, that's kicked off as well. Be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, or even become a member by hitting that join button and getting extra bonus picks as well. And if you want your share of free bonus money from some of the top sports books in your area, they're offering a ton of great offers and bonus money for new customers. Just click the link signupexpert.com/shredthespread. I'll put that in the comments of this video, and you can check out all the great offers available. Let's check out these games now on the weekend. Game number 1, New York Red Bulls sporting Kansas City. It's 4th in the East, New York, hosting 12th in the West, SKC. New York has some key absentees in keeper Carlos Coronel, plus Noah Eli and Lewis Morgan. SKC only sees Stephen Afrifa playing away internationally with Canada. Now, there's been no meetings for these teams since a 1-0 New York win back in 2022, but the previous 6 all saw both teams scoring. Little relevance here, though, many years later. Most SKC games see goals, though, this season, and usually from both teams. They were off last weekend, so they should be fresh, having last played in the U.S. Open Cup semifinals on August 27th. That was a 2-0 home win over the Indy 11 of the USL. They won 3-0 in MLS before that, so their last 2 games have not seen goals coming from both sides. But generally speaking, that has been the case. SKC scored in 26 of 29, given up a goal in 26 of 29 as well. Both teams' score bets for SKC this season have gone 26-7 in all competitions, but 0-3 of late. They had been 8-0 prior to those 3 games, though. The over 2.5 has simply gone 18-4 in their past 22 games in all competitions as well. When it comes to wins and losses, they've improved a bit as late, being 7-1-4 recently. New York is not in good form, though. It was a 2-0 home loss to Philly last weekend. That gives them 0 wins in 4, only 1 win in 9, and 2 wins in 13 across all competitions. Prior to last game, though, the Red Bulls had been the only team yet to lose at home this season, so generally speaking, betting against New York at home, not the way to go. Had you been betting draws, though, in Red Bulls games, you would have been cleaning up very nicely so far this season, as they've been drawn at the end of regulation in 9 of their last 12 games in all competitions. So who do you trust here? There's some key players away for New York, but they are at home, but they rarely win lately. They usually just draw, and SKC games usually see goals on both ends, so I'm not sure this could be a draw. Maybe both teams to score. Let's go to Columbus and Seattle Sounders. This could be the highlight match of the small weekend card, with 3rd in the East, Columbus hosting 8th West in the West, Seattle. Some big names are away for Columbus, both keepers Schulte and Hagen, plus Morera, Farsi, and the biggest loss of them all, Cucho Hernandez. Meanwhile, the Sounders lose Tolo and Vargas away on international duty. Nothing seems to slow down Wilfred Nancy's side, though. Not the MLS Cup hangover, not the Champions Cup, or the Leagues Cup either. They won the Leagues Cup final, had a quick turnaround with the game 3 days later, and they won that as well, 1-0 in Philly, and then won 3 days after that, 4-2 at home to New York City FC last weekend as well. That game, though, was 2-2 until very late in the game with a 93rd minute Crew goal, and then getting another one after that. So 2 late goals got them that win. So they've won 7 straight, 1 though in PKs. They're 17-1-4 in their past 22. In this 7-game winning streak, they've outscored opponents 19-7 as well. It's hard to really ever bet against the Crew. They have conceded a goal though in 8 of their last 10. So both teams to score bets has also been a good way to go. Maybe Crew and both teams to score, also been a good bet as well. If you're picking a winner, consider this stat, though. Under Wilfred Nancy, Columbus, when they're playing at lower.com field at home, which is where they are here, they are 30-12-2. That's just 2 losses in that time across all competitions. They have a plus 63 goal differential as well. The last 2 losses have come against Miami last season and Cincinnati this season. The Sounders had a run of just 2 losses in 18, but more recently, they're only 4-0-5. Even more recently, they've lost their last 2 recent games of both 1-0. But then, in their last 4 losses, 3 have come to LAFC, which seems to be their bogey team. Otherwise, they've been generally in good form when not playing LAFC. Columbus has been LA's bogey team themselves. Sounders have been shut out in 3 of their past 4, though, so I would still have to lean towards Columbus winning at home, even without some players. They are in scorching hot form, but this could also be close. You are missing some key players as well, like we've said. So perhaps a Crew win, or maybe the under in this game. Houston Dynamo and LAFC. Houston basically has no international comps, but LAFC has been gutted with Bogusz, Buanga, Campos, Chanot, Martinez, and Oliveira all being called up. Now, they still have solid backups here, including Kamara and Giroud, but that is a lot of talent out of the lineup this week. These teams just played last week, and this will be a makeup game that got canceled due to weather. Last week, it was two newcomers to the Dynamo, in Ezekiel Ponce and Loris Anali, powering the Dynamo to a 2-0 road win against LA in LA. Houston held 63% possession, led in shots 16-14. Both had 6 shots on target. But in a huge blow, Anali's time in Houston has been cut short this season as he suffered a season-ending ACL injury last game. That snaps 2 losses for Houston. The one did come in PKs in the League's Cup. In regulation, they're 7-5-3 in their last 15. Oddly, they're a better road team, though, than at home this season, where they're 4-5-3. That's the second worst home record in the West. And they're 7-2-5. That's the second best road record in the conference. LAFC came up short in the League's Cup final, losing 3-1 to Columbus. They then beat Seattle 1-0 in the U.S. Open Cup semis. You'd expect some pushback here this week from a team this week who just lost last week at the same opponent. They're 19-2-4 in their last 25 in all competitions. Getting shut out the last game is the only time in their past 32 games they failed to score. None of the past 4 meetings between these teams have seen both teams to score, but that perhaps could change here. If I'm going to pick a winner, I would probably lean towards Houston here with less missing players, playing at home, playing a team they just beat on the road last season. So I'd lean to Houston or perhaps both teams to score here in this game. LAFC still have some stars out there, and they'll want to push back. They're certainly capable of getting on the score sheet. Next game, Vancouver Whitecaps, FC Dallas. The Caps are out. Ahmed, Kubas, Gold, Pico, and Vite, plus Brian White missed last week with a concussion. They did sign Scottish international to Stuart Armstrong. He's a DP midfielder now for the Caps. He played with Southampton last year in the championship. Dallas are out. Keeper Pius, plus Caframana, Delgado, and Ciante. Back in March, Vancouver beat Dallas 3-1 in Dallas, and the Caps usually find success against Dallas, being 5-3-1 in their past 9 in all meetings. That's just 1 loss in 9. Vancouver beat Austin 1-0 last week, and Pacific of the CPL 1-0 a few days prior in the Canadian Championship. Now, those clean sheets, though, were very rare for Vancouver. In fact, they only have 4 in their last 26 games, and they've come to just 2 different teams, 2 against Austin and 2 against Pacific. So they've only shut out 2 MLS teams, really only 1 MLS team in that time. This week, Ryan Gold is out, being called up to Scotland as well. Not sure if Brian White will be back from his concussion. Dallas has been more entertaining under Peter Lucian, but that's not translated to many wins. They have just 4 in 12 games lately, and they followed up a 4-3 win after League's Cup with a 3-2 home loss to Colorado last weekend. They've given up multiple goals in 4 straight, but have scored in 9 of 10. Both teams to score has also hit in 8 of those 10 games. Dallas saw Peter Musa, Jesus Ferreira, and Alan Velasco come off the bench last week, so they are getting some big players back from injury. I could maybe see a shootout here, but then the Caps are missing so many players. So again, tough to say. If I was making a bet, I would probably say both teams to score over 2.5. Now, there's 2 more games on the card, and this is where the official bet for me is going to come. It's going to be 1 2-game parlay. We're going to start it off with Chicago Fire, DC United, 14th Chicago and 11th DC. They're only separated by 3 points, so this game could bring the 2 level. Chicago has limited absentees with Georgios Koutsias and Ariel Lassiter, while DC is out Boris Enow, Aaron Herrera, and Matty Patolta. I don't think that is too much to still back goals in this game. Needless to say, it's been a poor season for both of these teams. Worse for Chicago overall, and also last week. Last weekend they lost 4-1 at home to Miami, which makes them winless in 5 across all competitions, with only 4 wins in 22 and 6 wins in 29. Those last 5 games have seen scores of 4-1, 2-2, 3-1, 2-1, and 2-1. DC had a better result last week going to Toronto, winning 3-1. Other recent DC games have been a 4-3 loss, 2-1 loss, 3-0 win, 3-3 draw, 4-0 loss, 3-2 win, 2-1 win, 5-0 loss, 3-2 loss, 2-2 draw, 4-1 loss. So they too have seen plenty of goals in their recent games, but a 3.6 goals per match. DC's games average the 3rd most in the league as well. 3-0 win over Santos Laguna in the League's Cup is their only clean sheet in their last 25 games across all competitions. Chicago's games overall average 3.0 goals per match in MLS coming into this season. There had been a clean sheet for one or both teams when they played each other in 5 straight meetings, but in May this season, it was a 1-1 draw. This time, I think you have to bet on goals. Could certainly be a both teams to score. Could also be a both teams to score and over 2.5. If you wanted the straight bet for this parlay, I'm just going to go both teams to score between Chicago and DC. And we'll do a similar bet here with the final game, New England and St. Louis. It's 13th in the East, New England hosting 13th in the West, St. Louis. This will be the first ever meeting between these teams. The Revs are out 3 players, international duty. St. Louis, none. So this is one of the more straightforward games when it comes to missing players this weekend. After a 5-0 beatdown of Montreal coming out of Leagues Cup, the Revs came back to earth, losing 2-0 away to RSL last week. While they didn't have tons of chances, they had some, and Veroni himself was in alone more than once with good scoring chances, including a shot off the post in the dying minutes. The Revs haven't been good, but that is their only regulation loss in their last 6 games, and it snaps a run of 7 games where they had at least gotten on the score sheet. Go further back, and they have scored in 13 of 15 as well, but then it's only 2 clean sheets in their past 13 games if you look at them defensively. St. Louis is in decent form themselves right now with only 1 regulation loss in 7. That came to Club America in the Leagues Cup, and they had been leading in that game until late on. The new additions they've made over that Leagues Cup tournament have basically made this almost a brand new team right now. Last week it was 2 new additions, again getting on the score sheet in Tuchert and Hartl, lifting City to a 2-1 win over Western Conference leaders LA Galaxy. Prior to that, St. Louis drew Portland 4-4, and other recent scores in their games have been 4-2, 3-1, 1-1, 2-1, and 1-1. So goals at both ends of the pitch have been the story for St. Louis of late. And that is how I see this game unfolding as well. Certainly it could be a both teams to score and over 2.5. For the sake of this parlay, I'll just ask for both teams to score. And I think we can get a decent price here. With New England, St. Louis, both teams to score, paired with Chicago, DC, both teams to score, coming in at plus 133 odds, which will be my one official parlay of the week for MLS Week 31 this weekend. That's the 2-game parlay that I think is the strongest. But hopefully some of the info I've given for the other games can help you make some other picks as well if you're looking to bet some of the other games. Whatever you're betting in MLS this weekend, though, be sure to share it down there in the comments. Give this video a like on your way out, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to get more soccer, MLS, and NFL picks this year.